got it going, my bad. All right, hello. Interactive art is kind of where video games stand. Pablo Picasso, a gentleman who's famous for his modern art and almost reinventing the art in the 1900s. He carried around a revolver, and he loved carrying this around for more just scaring people. And whenever someone spoke and said, "Hey, what does this art piece mean?" or "What is the meaning of your art in general?" he'll pull out that gun, point it directly at them, and fire. Anybody seeing this would get scared as someone pulled out a gun, and anyone who didn't see this is now scared as this gun now sounded off. They were entirely full of blanks, but for the moment, that gun was real. For the moment, you just got shot. And for the moment, you were terrified. That's what he meant by when someone asks, "Hey, what does your art mean?" That's what he meant by it. It moved them just for that moment. Video games are just like that art. That's his revolver, or at least one that's like it. And Pablo Picasso believed that anything that moved you was art. Oh, Luring from Huffington Post was the person who quoted Pablo Picasso on that. And in this session, my name is Nathan Burgess, by the way. I'm going to be talking about the tale of two brothers. I'm going to be talking why video games are interactive art, and I'm going to make a small touch right now on the big noticeable thing in the room about Black Ops. They're probably where everyone sits down and says, "Okay, that's not art," but there's few things that are more noticeable than taking someone's life. And even back in Romans or gladiators in the different arenas, even soldiers nowadays will kind of have a mutual respect between somebody, and that is what kind of where Call of Duty gets on. But violence is more where it goes, but that's still a part of art. All right? Now, where do video games fit in the broad sense of art? All right, the first thing you think about art, you think paintings or books, things that fall into that. But video games are not made to be a quick, to show you this or an expression of self, or even a moment where they go through a little memoir. Video games are very extreme and very out there. That's why when you see something like Modern Warfare, or Mortal Kombat, God forbid, they're always trying to be more extreme than the previous one, because it has to keep you entertained. For books, they give you a play-by-play of what's happening, and your imagination does the rest. For paintings, it's a moment of how you feel, and yet your imagination will do the rest. But video games don't have that luxury. They have to show, not tell. And unlike paintings, they have to hold your attention for hours on end. Otherwise, it's not very good at a video game. Kyle Kleka, butchered his name, from The Atlantic said, "A video game isn't just a game. It's a controlled passage through an overwhelming aesthetic experience." It is overwhelming. And that's what made a video game make you feel something. As if it can overwhelm you, or just take a moment where you don't necessarily remember exactly every little thing that's around you, then it, for a moment, took you on a ride. And that's where it is. If you show me a game that isn't extreme, I will show you a boring game. Okay? Now, I've talked about how video games behave, as we know, but it seems they act just a little differently. Ooh. One of my photos didn't show up. All right. Art is anything that moves you, as I said. Video games are an interactive form of that. Some of them are about winning, but early games like Tetris, different kinds of Mario games and different things, they seem to not be a beatable thing. And my next point gives you... It's hard to see an art form you can win, but Chris Mellos from CNN, they said they included a form of traditional, he said, they include many forms of traditional artistic expression. They combine and create something that transcends one type. So it's not just able to say, okay, it's this kind of art to be able to define it. So it's not exactly cut and dry, especially with a large perspective. Now, I can say this, but I'd better give you an example. I'm going to talk about The Tale of Two Brothers. It was a game. Without any dialogue, and the only words actually spoken were the names of the two brothers spoken to each other whenever they called each other out. Their father was sick, and they had to go to a magic tree that can fix anything. Controlled by different dialogue, and it had different little things where your analog sticks was what moved the characters. Solve different puzzles. You go through. One could do only one thing. The big brother can only do a few things. Reach some things or push a heavy object. The small brother could fit into small things, and some of them could do both together. But the younger brother could only not swim at all unless his brother was there to carry him through. And it seemed that they got all the way through their story. They seen some fantastic things. That's the tree right there. They've been through some troubles. But at the moment, the big brother died at the end of the tree. And the game makes you bury him. Watches that slowly happen. And when that finally passes by, he picks up the fruit and goes back to his father. The one-way ticket there was actually by boat, and the boat swam off to sea, and he had to swim to go get it. The younger brother, being terrified of swimming, couldn't do it on his own. So it wasn't until you move your next